Hello, and welcome to the Simply Business Interview Podcast, a podcast created by business owners for business owners. I am your host, John Jennings. And I believe that most business owners are working way too hard for much too little. And one of our issues is that we overcomplexify things. I believe the answers are almost always within us or within our reach. I like to say that I'm a simple man with simple ideas. So welcome to Simply Business. All right, today we are joined by Larry Baker, who's a realtor, real estate investor, entrepreneurial, kind of got his hands in a lot of things. So we're gonna learn more about that, get to know Larry. Larry, why don't you first just thanks for being on the program. Why don't you introduce yourself and talk a little bit about what you're up to?
Thanks, John. I'm Larry Baker, and everything I go by is It's Me, Larry B. So my website, a lot of that is It's Me, Larry B. That's what kind of catchphrase when you're in sales. You need something kind of like that. But I'm a real estate broker. We're in Kentucky, Indiana, and Florida. We're in real estate pretty deep. We own Airbnbs, commercial rentals. We have about 40 agents in our brokerage. We still sell a little bit ourselves. My fiance, she's a real estate agent. I'm a broker. Company called Realty Advance. So we're growing a lot and excited to talk to you.
Okay. So you've kind of made a journey. We were talking a little bit about this before we hopped on. You made this journey from sales and other capacities, sales and car sales and other things, and then through some changes ended up in real estate. Why did you choose to go this route? And tell us a little bit about that journey, that transformation you went through.
Well, I'd say, everybody gets into real estate thinking the same thing, right? I'm going to have free time and I'm going to be able to do this and, time with my family and they don't realize it ends up being open house Sunday. And so a lot of your time is a little different. That's kind of why I got into business. And, I had been in sales my whole life. So that part of it, I kind of knew I had covered, but the learning about the real estate, growing, investing was a real challenge to me, and I wanted to learn that. So that's something I did. I got my real estate license. I think the second year I was a top agent in the office. Went back the year after that, got my broker's license. Didn't really do anything with it for a year or two. At the time, I just want to learn everything I could learn about real estate,
Mm-hmm.
So I went on, took my got my broker's license, and I got my auctioneer's license and principal auctioneer's license, and I started doing things like that, and I just kept learning and learning, and it was a really successful venture. So I guess the big difference I could say for me and a lot of other real estate agents is what you do after the closing, right? So where do you put your money when you have them great months? And that's the big difference I see a lot of people make in investing.
So you when you have a good month, you turn that and invest into other properties, is what you're saying.
Absolutely. When I first started my brokerage, I had really started buying real estate, and but I had just started a company, right? So usually the first couple of years, I had a loss on my taxes,
Mm-hmm.
so it made it really hard to get a loan. So once I opened the company, I didn't want to stop buying real estate, but the banks, when you've got a low income after tax returns or things like that, you have to find creative ways to put these deals together.
Yeah.
And so I learned to do things like that. I learned how to do owner finance deal or not that I prefer, but a contract for deed. I've done a lot of deals like that over the years, and I do them with a balloon payment and refinance them down the road.
Mm.
You're ready to go.
A lot of people don't realize how difficult. I'm self-employed. That getting a loan when you're self-employed is a challenge, and it takes several years to get yourself established to the point that they'll trust that that's a real business, real opportunity.
It's a problem, and people don't understand it. There should be an easier way for self-employed people to get loans, especially with good credit. That's something the government should really work on, because a lot of times, if I'm not going to hold a property long, I'll do a no doc loan or something like that, at a higher rate just because I don't want to go through the, combing of every bank account I have and every nickel I spend.
Mm.
But that's kind of how self-employed goes, and if you're doing a Fannie or Freddie loan like that, they're going to go through everything you got.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. And you're telling me you're kind of transitioning out of kind of the regular real estate all the time to doing some coaching. Tell us.
Well, I
Of
don't know
course,
that I'm
I'm a coach of
transitioning.
a different type, but tell me what you're planning on doing.
Well, I don't know that I would say transitioning, but we're adding that to our. So we figured out that we coach realtors every day, right, in our company.
Mm-hmm.
We coach our buyers and investors how to make money with their money. So why wouldn't we sell that to everybody? And that's just kind of what we've thought here lately. So we've started making a school. We're making some classes, videos, a lot of things that teach people how to invest in real estate. I realize that a whole lot of people want to do it, but a whole lot of people are scared to make that jump, and you probably realize this, a lot of people don't. If you've got cash sitting in the bank, now we've had some higher rates, so you might get 4 or 5%. But as history looks back, most savings accounts pay 1 or 2%, right? You're not
Right.
And with inflation, you're real likely for your money to be worth less 10 years from now than what it is when you put it in there. So, but with real estate, you're going to get that investment over time. Your property's going to get up in value, and the best thing you want to do is have properties that other people are paying the payment on, right?
Yeah. So, what is the biggest holdback for people to make that leap? Is it in their head?
They're really funny to make that first jump. They don't. The first one always seems the hardest. Once they get the first one, they want 5 more.
Mm.
But and then a lot of people make a lot of common mistakes about things like managing your rentals. You know, that's a project that if you don't know what you're doing, you probably need to find a company with good ratings around you and let them manage your rental. Because a lot of people I've seen them buy rentals and then they'll let people get a year behind. They don't pay. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to evict them. These are things. If that's not your forte, let somebody do it that knows what they're doing. 10%, 90% of your money is better than zero of nothing. People aren't paying their rent, so let a company take care of it that takes care of things like this, and you'll be successful.
So you encourage new investors to go in and take that additional expense to find somebody else to manage their property so that they're.
It depends on how skilled you are, right?
Yeah.
But don't. A lot of people are intimidated to take somebody and evict them, things like that. If that's not your forte and you don't want to do things like that, you don't want to take people to court, because it's going to happen if you get deeper in the real estate business. So if you can take care of it yourself, obviously that's the option. And some people are lucky enough to get good renters right off the bat, right?
Yeah.
You get a good renter, they pay great, they take care of your stuff. Man, that's the golden situation. And that's what we look for when we rent it, but it don't always turn out like that. And you have to be ready to take care of that.
Yeah. I remember as a child, we moved and my parents were able to sell the house, so they ended up renting it. And the first renters they had were like perfect. I mean, they were, just a single couple, no kids, no pets, no, they took care of the house incredibly well. They would call and say, "Hey, we're thinking about, living room needs painting. Can you mind if we paint it?" And they did it on their own. They bought the paint, they did the work,
Yeah.
And then they stayed there for like 12 years or so. It's like, how can you get more perfect? Then the second one were okay. They did all right. They were there for a few years. And then the third one was a complete disaster. My dad's like, "Oh, not doing this anymore."
Yeah. Yeah. But look at the wealthy gain by the first people.
Yeah.
Just them. I mean, in 12 years, the house probably went up at least 50%.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
He probably got a little money every month on top of the rent. So in other words, if he got 1,200 rent, his payment was probably 600 or 700. So he made money that way. Or if he didn't owe on it, So
well, this was in the 70s. So like I think their mortgage was like $80 and the rent was 200 or something like that. But yeah,
Yeah,
they were putting that money in the bank. Yeah.
yeah, that's how it works. And if you've got uh $200,000 in a stock market and you're a decent investor, you may make 5 to 10%.
Mm.
But you can take a rental that same money and buy a $200,000 rental property, and it's going to make 1,800 to 2,000 a month plus 5% every year, usually
Yeah.
in appreciation. So,
Right.
there's nothing in the world made more millionaires or billionaires than real estate. I mean, real estate is the answer, and the longer you hold it, the better you are. And if you can buy them with cash, that's great. All the money that comes in is yours. But even if you had to finance them, usually they'll make a profit every month. Although it be small, uh, if you got a house that somebody else is pay your payment on every month, you're going to build wealth over time. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. What's that saying? If you want to get rich quick, do whatever. If you want to get rich slow, uh, choose real estate because it's a
real
long
estate,
haul,
man,
right? It's a long
it
play.
just yeah, it's a long play for the most part. And you said most investors that get in, what do they want to do? They want to flip a house, and they
Yeah.
think, oh, we're going to buy a $50,000 house and we're going to sell it for 250 after we put 10,000 in it. It don't work.
Yeah.
The days don't work. Am I saying you can't make money on flips? You can, absolutely. Especially if you take a person that can do a lot of the work themselves,
Hmm.
really make some money on some flips. But for the most of us, that's not the quick way of business. Uh, we do a few flips. We do a few. We sold one yesterday. We held it for 2 years. It's one of them properties that was real good to us, and you get something like that, but it wasn't a quick deal. And you got to know when to get in and out of these properties, and most of the time, keeping them's the answer. But some properties don't appreciate like you would hope.
Right. So you also mentioned you have a brokerage. You said 40 realtors.
Around there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
around 40. Uh,
yeah.
what's that journey been like? Because I mean, going from selling cars and selling real estate to now being a broker and having this team all kind of under your brand. I know they're independent probably and work pretty
Yeah.
much on their own, but they're still kind of operating under your brand. So, uh, what's been the challenges there? What's that been like?
Just the same thing is a lot of it is getting people to do the work. Like I told you in the beginning, there's that myth out there that you just get a real estate license and post a couple posts on social media, and
Mhm.
people are just going to flood you with houses to sell and want to buy houses. And that's not the myth. It's a job, and
Yeah.
you got to put the work in. And although I feel like I can take anybody, any personality, and make them a successful realtor, because the internet's changed the game, right there. It's not a bunch of sales ability anymore. People have all the information they need right
Mhm.
there on the internet. It's more of a guidance and make friends kind of business. And if you do that, spend the time, you'll be very successful. But uh, it's the work. Getting people to do the work is very frustrating sometimes. I mean, you see a lot of people and you think, man, if you would just spend some time with me, you would make so much money. And they just won't.
What's their usual excuse?
There's in blocks. A lot of times people don't want to be on TV. They don't want to be on social media. They don't want to do video and making the phone calls. These are the hard parts of the business. And you
Mhm.
can literally have conversations with new realtors like, did you call them? Well, I sent them an email. Did you call them? Well, I sent them a text. Call them. Why didn't you call them? They're scared, you know, and getting over them fears of sales and doing things like this is kind of one of the big hurdles. Uh,
Yeah.
we do very well. We're probably a top 20 or 25 brokerage in Kentucky. We've only been in business 7 years, so we've climbed the ladders pretty good.
Yeah.
There's a lot of big brokerages out there, and
Oh yeah. Yeah.
in the Louisville market, we climbed up pretty good. So,
So how do you assess talent? When someone comes to you and says, "Yeah, I want to be a realtor," are there are
some
there
of them will surprise you,
things you're
man.
looking for?
Some of them will really surprise you. You would be surprised sometimes how the ones you think really have the gift of gab, and they don't do the work, and then some of them do the work and uh, have no sales ability really. That's not something that they have to have anymore. It's pretty wild to see that. I've taken realtors. Literally, I had a lady come to me. Her last broker told her to get a job as a greeter at Walmart. She would never be in sales. She would never make it. Um, and she was one of my top agents for a lot of years.
Mm.
So uh,
what did you do different with her that
well,
previous?
I've been in sales and marketing my whole life, so that's all I know. And if people will listen and do the things I teach, that they'll be rewarded very well. And she was one that did it. When she came to work for me, I said, "Look, you call me every Monday morning until you get this figured out, and I'm going to show you exactly what to do for the week that'll make you successful." And she would do it. And
Mm.
I got some of them that'll do it. I got a guy now that's been doing it for 10 years. Never sold over 3 houses in a year. He's probably going to sell 35 this year.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's just doing the work. I mean, that's all there is to it, is doing the work.
Yeah. It's amazing how simple sometimes the formula is. It's just do what's expected, not and not
Yeah.
you can't sit and wait for the phone to ring. I don't care what you're doing. You could be selling
No, you can't. There's two kinds of
precious.
people
Yeah.
in sales, and it's there's a kind that wait for it to happen and the kind that make it happen, and you got to be that kind that makes it happen. And this isn't a hard business. It's really not. A lot of people make it a lot harder than it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally just doing the work, doing the work and doing the right things, uh, making the calls, doing the right techniques. I mean, people don't think about, do you want to go out and pass out flyers and maybe have 100 that you get today,
Mm-hmm.
or for $2 you can see 2,000 people on social media. So working smart, not hard, is the key. And we've got realtors. I teach a lot of different ways. We've got realtors that take what I say totally different, and they do it totally different ways, and it works for them.
Mm-hmm.
Your personality is something that you've got to adapt to that. Some people just will not make the video, so they don't use social media much, or they just do a few posts. Some people use a phone a lot. Some people like to constantly go to networking and shake people's hands. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to get business. Really don't matter how you do it as long as you're doing it.
Yeah. It takes a lot of consistency, and you have to work your network, right? You have to constantly, that's one thing I've seen. I've seen a lot of people come and go in real estate, and the ones that go are usually, I mean, they'll show up, they'll be at every networking event and hand out cards, but they're not doing the grind as far as really sitting down and asking for referrals and connecting with their network. Yeah.
When I first got into business, I had a closing, and I had an older realtor come up to me, and I was so pumped. It was one of the biggest closings I've had. And he come up to me and he said, "You know when you make your money?" And I said, "At closing." He said, "No, it's the referrals after the closing."
Yeah.
Now, don't let them people, make sure you keep track of them people. Make sure they know you're their realtor, and they'll refer you to their friends. And, that's where it starts. You're all trying to build a sphere, but you have to work to build that sphere, and you got to know how to build it.
Yeah.
If you get in the business and you have a very small sphere, it can still be really good if people are really close to you and they refer you.
Mm-hmm. I find also people don't think they have a big sphere until you challenge them, and then they start realizing, oh yeah, think about church, think about scouts, think about the little league team, think about PTA. You start going through, then suddenly like, oh gosh, I know 500 people. Like, okay, well, that's 500 people to start with. Get going with that.
Now you got to make them know you're a realtor, right? You got to
Oh, yeah.
let them know that you're a real estate agent, and if you don't, they're going to forget.
Yeah, yeah, I've seen that too. People who, well, I don't want to bug them. I don't want to inundate with them. Well, then they find out, their best friend hired another realtor or another mortgage loan person or whatever, because they forgot that's what they did. I'm like, how in the world do you figure? Well, if you don't tell them,
You got to
people
tell them.
aren't going to remember what you do, so you have to constantly tell them.
And it's not always talking about business. You post certain
Oh,
things
yeah.
that make people laugh on social media. They think about you, and then they think they know you're a realtor, and you're on their mind. And that's how it is. It's
Yeah. I've got a
constantly.
client in the insurance space, and that's what he does the funniest videos. And insurance is about the most boring thing in the world to sell,
Yeah,
but he makes it funny. And so then then you tend to remember him,
yeah.
because he's always making you laugh about something insurance related. Um, so the last question I have about, kind of the leadership part was going from, kind of solo to now, a team. What's been the biggest challenge for you?
I guess it's challenging to keep that morale and to keep people when the market's down,
Yeah.
keep them excited about it. But I'll say when a realtor that's newer with me, and it all starts to come together, all the things I've been teaching them, that's an amazing feeling. Watching a person go from $40,000 a year to $250,000 a year because of things I taught them and gave them a career really make you feel good about watching them grow. So
That's very cool. So, you sounds like you are a person for someone who either is wanting to get in the real estate game, or maybe they've been in it and not happy with where they are, especially in the Kentucky, Indiana, Florida area. They should
yeah,
probably want to meet you.
yeah, they should. We went to Florida because my cousin was with a big box brokerage. I won't say any names, but
Yeah.
Struggling. I've been a realtor for 10 or 12 years, sell 3 or 4 houses a year. She wanted to come work for me. I wasn't licensed in Florida. So I went and got licensed in Florida. She came over. She's on track. I think she's closed 4 or 5 in January.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that's how we ended up in Florida. Now we're heading South Florida. So we're from Pensacola to Fort Myers.
Nice. So, how's the best way of getting in touch with you? What's your best?
I'm everywhere. It's me, Larry B.
It's me, Larry B.
That's my website. Really Advanced is our company. We have a link there. Join our team. You wanted to click on that. I'd love to talk to anybody that wants to know about real estate. Like I said, we've been coaching realtors and investors for a long time, so we're switching more to a coaching platform. And that way, I don't have to teach the same classes over and over again too.
Yeah.
So if
Right.
I'm going to make it for my agents, I might as well make it for the public. So that's what we're doing. Even if you're not in one of our states, it's melarryb.com. You can join there. It's not very
Yeah.
expensive.
You can coach them from anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to have Zooms. You come in, ask me questions. We can look at your social media, see what you're doing there, and get you going in the right direction, real estate or investors. So
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, sound like you got a wealth of resources there for people, and I encourage folks who are interested in the real estate game to certainly reach out and connect with Larry B.
Reach out. Thank you, John. Thanks for having me on. It's fun.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you liked it, please share or like it on whatever platform you use. You can find me on social media. On most platforms, I'm John K. Jennings. My first book is also available. Your Baby is Ugly tells you about 10 truths that business owners need to hear, but often won't, and how to overcome them. You can find it on Amazon. Just search for Your Baby is Ugly. And be watching for our next episode, where I'll interview another business owner who will share their stories and insights into what it's like to create a great business.